Here's $500. Will you pretend to be my date for a day?" The girl behind the counter froze. The cafe was small, wedged between a flower shop and a dry cleaner on a narrow Brooklyn street. Inside, cinnamon and espresso perfumed the air, but none of it reached a man at the corner table. Lucas Thorne, 33, CEO of Thorne and Maddox Holdings, scrolled through his family group chat, jaw tight. "Grandma's turning 75. Don't come alone this year. Mom already picked someone for you. Stanford MBA. Perfect match." He deleted his half-type reply and looked up when the door chimed. A young woman entered, guiding an elderly lady to a seat. "Easy now, Mrs. Delaney," she said gently. Her blonde hair was in a loose ponytail, her apron still dusted with flour. She tucked a blanket around the older woman's knees, her smile warm and unforced. For the first time that morning, Lucas forgot the buzzing in his phone. Moments later, he stood before her at the register. Her name tag read ISA. "Can I help you?" she asked. Lucas placed 5 crisp $100 bills on the counter. "I need someone to pretend to be my girlfriend. For one evening, my grandmother's birthday. I'll pick you up, introduce you, bring you home. That's all." ISA blinked. "I'm sorry, what?" "No prank. No strings. Just one dinner. You don't even know me." "That's kind of the point," he said quietly. "You helped a stranger like she was your own family, and you smiled like you meant it." She hesitated. Something in his tone, exhaustion, not arrogance, made her pause. Finally, she said, "Fine, just one evening. And you call me ISA." He nodded. "Deal." The next afternoon, a sleek black car pulled up to ISA's apartment. Inside were 2 garment bags and an envelope with her name. "For a night, wear whichever makes you feel most confident. L." She smiled faintly, unzipped both dresses, one elegant navy, one ivory and soft. She wore neither. Instead, she chose a pale sage green vintage dress, simple and graceful. When Lucas stepped into the car, he noticed, "You didn't pick either." "I wear what feels like me," she said lightly. He smiled. "Exactly." The drive was quiet. "So," ISA asked, "what's my name tonight?" "Clara, Juliet, something exotic?" He blinked. Hadn't thought that far. "Then use my real name. I'm better at being me." He nodded slowly. "ISA it is." As the city lights gave way to rolling estates, ISA glanced at him. "You could have brought someone you actually care about." "I did once," he said after a pause. "It didn't end well." She didn't press. When he asked about her, ISA said softly, "I was in nursing school, top of my class. Left to care for my grandmother when she got dementia. She passed last year." Lucas turned, watching her profile in the passing light. "I'm sorry." "It's life," she replied. "But I'm okay." He studied her. How calm she sounded. How free of bitterness. The Thorne estate glowed like something out of film. White stone, manicured gardens, laughter spilling from the veranda. ISA took a breath as Lucas offered his arm. "Smile," he murmured. "I already am," she teased. Inside, chandeliers glittered over guests in suits and gowns. The first to greet them was Lucas's grandmother, Martha Thorne, silver-haired, poised, eyes sharp. "Happy birthday, Mrs. Thorne," ISA said warmly, extending her hand. "I'm ISA." Martha's assessing gaze softened. "Thank you, dear. Please call me Martha." Next came Lucas's mother, Sylvia, elegant and cool. "So, this is the young woman you've been keeping from us," she said. "What do you do, ISA?" "I work at a cafe. I studied nursing before that." Sylvia's smile was thin. Quite a pivot. ISA only nodded. Life has its detours. Lucas's jaw tightened, but ISA touched his arm lightly. "It's fine." Hours passed in a blur of laughter and champagne. ISA moved through a crowd with ease, never pretending to belong, simply being herself. Lucas watched her laugh with guests, charm children, and listened to Martha's stories. For once, he wasn't performing either. Then chaos struck. A child bumped into a waiter, and a pot of hot tea tipped dangerously. Before anyone moved, ISA lunged forward, catching the tray and shielding the girl. The scalding water splashed her sleeve. but she only smiled, kneeling beside the crying child. "You're okay, sweetheart. Just a little sting." The room fell silent. Lucas rushed over. "Are you hurt?" "She's fine," ISA assured him. "Ice will help." Martha approached, eyes bright with emotion. She took ISA's hand. That was brave. ISA's cheeks flushed. Anyone would have done it. But everyone knew that wasn't true. Lucas stood back, watching her surrounded by warmth and respect. For the first time, he realized the irony. He had hired someone to pretend to care, and she had ended up being the only one who truly did. When the party quieted, ISA found her clutch and headed toward the exit. Lucas lingered until Martha pulled him aside. "Tell me honestly," his grandmother said. "Do you like her?" He hesitated. "It's complicated." "She's real," Martha said simply. "You haven't allowed yourself to want that." He had no answer. By the time he returned, ISA was near the door, clutching an envelope. "I'm returning your money," she said. "I like meeting your family, but I won't sell my emotions." This was supposed to be pretend, but it stopped feeling that way. Lucas froze. "I hope you understand," she whispered, turning to leave. He didn't follow. The night pressed in as she disappeared into the rain. Through the glass doors, he watched her share her umbrella with the same little girl she'd helped earlier. His chest tightened. He wanted to call her name, but the words stayed trapped. He pressed his hand against the cold doorframe and whispered, "What have I done?" That night, the man who thought he could buy company realized how much it cost to lose something real. The room erupted in applause as Martha cut the ribbon, marking the opening of the Martha Foundation. Children's laughter filled the courtyard, fluttering like music through the spring air. ISA stood near the steps, sunlight dancing across her hair, her yellow dress catching the wind. Around her, children clung to her skirt, waving handmade signs. "Thank you, ISA, and we love this place." Lucas found himself watching her more than the crowd. His grandmother's laughter, the volunteers' joy, even the cameras, all faded into background noise. All he could see was ISA, the woman who had changed everything by simply being herself. He walked toward her slowly, his shoes crunching softly on the gravel. She turned, eyes shining, a gentle smile forming when she saw him. "You did it," she whispered, voice filled with quiet pride. "We did it," he thought, but only nodded. Then, without fanfare, he reached into his pocket and pulled out a small velvet box. ISA froze, her breath catching. "There's no stage," he said softly. "No fancy dinner, no grand gesture. Just us here, where everything began again." He opened the box. Inside was a delicate gold ring, a single diamond catching the sun. "I found you when I wasn't looking," he continued, his voice trembling slightly. "You reminded me that kindness is not weakness, that love doesn't need perfection. I don't need a perfect life, ISA. I just need one with you in it." Her eyes glistened. For a heartbeat, neither of them moved. Then ISA smiled. Steady, certain. "Yes," she said, voice strong despite the tears in her eyes. "1,000 times, yes." The courtyard erupted into cheers. The children clapped and shouted, and Martha, sitting in her wheelchair, wiped her tears with a handkerchief. Lucas slipped the ring onto ISA's finger, his thumb brushing over her knuckles, as if anchoring himself to that moment. When the noise quieted, ISA leaned close and whispered, "Thank you for choosing me, not for what I look like or for what I lacked, but for who I am." Lucas smiled, pressing a kiss to her temple. "I didn't choose you for what you are," he murmured. "I chose you for who you are." Around them, the celebration carried on, music, laughter, children playing tag around the fountain. Martha's laughter echoed from the porch. The scent of cinnamon pastries drifted from the tables. And for the first time in years, Lucas felt home, not in the mansion where he grew up, but here, among people, laughter, imperfection, and love. That evening, as twilight fell, Lucas and ISA sat side by side on the foundation steps. The last of the guests were leaving, the lights glowing warm across the courtyard. Martha was inside, resting. Fireflies began to blink over grass. ISA leaned her head against his shoulder. Do you ever think about how strange this all is? She asked softly. It started with a ridiculous question. Here's $500. Will you pretend to be my date? Lucas chuckled. And now I can't imagine a life without you. She smiled faintly. It's funny how one small choice can change everything. Lucas turned to her, eyes tender. It wasn't a small choice. It was the best one I ever made. They sat there for a long while, saying nothing. The world felt quieter, more complete. Inside, the foundation walls were lined with photographs. Martha's portrait, the opening day, ISA serving tea to an elderly man, Lucas helping a child plant flowers in the garden. Each image told a story not of wealth or power, but healing, grace, and connection. The scandal that once threatened them was long forgotten. What remained was the truth, the kind of love that doesn't need headlines, only hearts willing to stay. Months later, Lucas woke one morning to find ISA standing by the window of their small Brooklyn apartment, watching the sunrise. Her hair, unpinned, glowed in the soft light. He wrapped his arms around her waist. "You're up early," he murmured. "I was just thinking," she said, smiling, "how far we've come." Lucas followed her gaze out the window, the skyline, the city that had once felt so empty. "We didn't build an empire," he said quietly. "We built a home." ISA turned in his arms. "That's worth more than anything." They stayed like that, watching the light spill over the rooftops. Two souls who had once met by chance, now bound by choice. Love hadn't arrived with fireworks. It came quietly, like morning light through a half-open curtain. Steady, gentle, and real. If the story of unexpected love, quiet courage, and choose it with the heart moved you, remember this. Sometimes the most extraordinary beginnings come from the simplest questions. Here's $500. Will you pretend to be my date for a day? It wasn't just a proposal. It was the start of everything real. Sparkles if you believe in kindness, connection, and love that finds you when you least expect it.